experience, and I'm here to talk to you guys today about the approach that you should take in job searching. So what I like to call that is the first date approach. What that means is basically kind of treating it like a first date. I'm going to explain that throughout the talk. But basically just kind of one of the first things that you do in a job search is you're looking for a job, right? You go on whatever job site that you might go on, whether that's Indeed, Glassdoor, different websites, the actual company website itself. You're going to find the job posting. The first thing you want to do is find out about the job, right? Do you have the skills required? You want to do some research into it. You kind of want to approach that the same way you would approach, a new relationship or a first date, so to speak. Which is, you don't need to spend too much time on it. You're not sure if this job is the right job for you. A lot of people in a job search, who here has been job searching before? Okay, cool. So you guys know that a job search can take a lot of time. A lot of people say it takes a lot of time when you research into a job. How much time do you think that you spend researching one particular company? Few hours. Okay. Yeah? Does that seem pretty practical? Okay. So, yeah, I think you should take about 15 to 20 minutes to research one company. So, what you should do is you find the company. Let's say it's Netflix, right? You go and you look and you see some information about Netflix. You can go on Glassdoor. You can look at employee reviews. They'll tell you different things about the company that they like, right? Company culture, the environment, the way management interacts with the employees. So if any of those things stand out to you, note those down. That's what you're going to want to have as the knowledge when you go in for your interview or when you go in for your resume or when you're preparing your resume or your cover letter, because those things stand out to you. You don't necessarily need to know everything about that company. You need to know, the main things you need to know is, does this job work for you, right? So, skills. Do you have the skills? Okay, that's one of the things you want to know. You also want to know just something you're passionate about. You want to know something you're passionate about. You also want to know within the company. So, for instance, you're going for a job and you see that the CEO also used to be a mechanic. Maybe you once worked in your uncle's auto shop, and that's something that was a really good experience for you, right? The CEO is talking about how he's really excited to bridge the automotive world with the tech industry, and that's something they're talking about. Now, that maybe isn't talking about the exact job that you're going for, but that's something you can be passionate about, right? You're going to remember that. When you go in for the interview, I don't know, who here has ever gotten nervous on an interview? Yeah, okay. So it's very easy to get nervous. I've been doing this for over 7 years. I'm nervous just standing up here. So it's very easy to get nervous, but if you know something you're passionate about, you're not going to forget it, right? You're not going to, when you're getting the overwhelmed and you're like, oh no, they're asking me a lot of questions, you're going to remember that thing that you were excited about, right? Which was, I once worked in my uncle's auto shop. You know what I mean? You're going to remember that thing. So you don't need to have a big, expansive amount of knowledge that you have to spout off to this person. You just want to know the things that you think are going to kind of bridge your relationship with that person on a kind of rapid basis, right? Get you guys conversating. And then also just your own resume. You want to know your own resume. So those are kind of the things that you are going to want to do in a research. You've already created your own resume by this point if you're going in for an interview. You've already created your own cover letter. So at this point when you're interviewing, you just need to know a few things about the company and a few things about the actual position and a couple things about something that you found exciting about the company, whether that's the company culture, whether that's the environmental outlook that they have in the community, right? Maybe they have some community outreach programs that you find very interesting. Figure those things out. Figure out the things that, like I said, are exciting or you're passionate about. And you will hear me say this throughout this whole talk, or if you are one of my students who comes to my soft skills roundtables, you'll hear me say exciting and passionate all the time. That's one of the things that I think is the biggest thing you can put into an interview that sets you apart. Now, most of you are probably going out for entry-level developer roles. So you maybe don't have years and years of experience, but you do have passion, right? You have that excitement into it, and that's what you really want to bring to every single interview, no matter what role you're going for. So we're going to go on to the next thing. Does anybody have any initial questions yet? No? Okay, cool. Oh, yeah, good.
Yeah, so one question that I do have that I did run into when looking specifically online is if, per se, a job requires higher skill in an industry, but I've had people who say, hey, I mean, you might as well try for it. They might not really see that as a serious thing, like, especially when it's like, when it's supposed to be an entry-level kind of thing for that company. Just kind of wondering how much stock I should put into, how much I should worry about seemingly not having the industry experience that they require.
I would say never really worry about it. I think you should go out, obviously if it says senior developer role must have 10 to 15 years of experience, I wouldn't necessarily apply for that job. But I think that even when it says, should have 1 to 3 years of experience, which is very common, I don't think that it'll hurt you ever to apply for that job. Now, it is true that a lot of people, when you're looking for someone, you want the most experienced person, right? You want as an HR person, every single person I hire is going to take a lot of extra work for me, and a lot of extra work for almost everyone in the company, okay? So anybody that you hire is, to be completely honest, a problem at the beginning. Now we're excited because we want you to be a part of our team, right? We need this position filled. We need this workload to be taken off of other people. But in the beginning, we have to train you. We have to give you all the company policies. We have to do all the paperwork. We have to invest a lot of time and money into you. And we want someone who's going to be the best candidate, right? Now that is something that you're going to see in a job posting is 1 to 3 years of experience. And a lot of people get disheartened by that and just move on to the next thing. They're like, I want to make sure I'm overqualified. I don't think you should try to overqualify yourself too much. Just apply for it. The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to get a no. But what's kind of great about that is you gain some experience. You'll go out for that interview, or you'll have done the research. It'll become something that's easy and quick to you, rather than if you're looking through different positions and you're like, this one I can't do, this one I shouldn't do, I shouldn't do this one, I shouldn't do this one. That's what you're practicing. You're practicing saying no to a position rather than practicing applying to the position, rather than practicing interviewing for a position, rather than practicing, getting your resume set up or your cover letter. And that's the better thing to practice, right? We don't want to practice thinking that we're not good enough, okay? So I think that, to answer your question, kind of in a roundabout way, but to come back to it, I think that it's fine to apply for any job that you feel that you will offer something to. If you think that you're going to be able to do the duties that they're listing, apply for it. Tell them how you'll do the duties. I mean, I can tell you, in my personal experience, I've hired people just because I liked them. I've hired people, obviously they have to have some skills, but I've hired people just because I really liked the person. I liked that they were gung-ho about it. I've hired people that are fresh out of high school. I've hired people that are, going to retire in 10 years and still, wanted to hire them because they were awesome and they told me why I should hire them. They convinced me. And that's really what the interview process is about, is really selling yourself, because that's what you have to do. A lot of people are probably going to go out for that one position. And if you're excited and passionate, those are the 2 words again, you're going to become a much better prospect for that position than if you just only do the things you think you'll most likely get a yes out of. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Awesome. Any other questions right now? Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, good. So most of you said that you have job searched before. What do you think are the things that go into job searching, things that you need to have or things that you need to do?
Well, certainly a resume and
Good.
probably a LinkedIn.
Good.
keep multiple folders of like one folder with this kind of resume, another folder with a bunch of this kind of resume.
Okay.
Same thing with like cover letters.
Okay, good.
And a general one that I can edit.
Good. Anybody else? Different things that you need to have on a job search or things that you go through on a job search?
Portfolio and or GitHub account specifically for tech.
Okay. Okay, good. So also another thing that you need to have is, you need to have your resume, your LinkedIn, that's very true. Cover letter, very, very true. I did not spell that right. Portfolio, GitHub, very, very true. Multiple resumes. Now, the multiple resume thing, I think that that's great. I think that having the generalized resume, especially as a student, at the Tech Academy, we work with you on your resume. So you'll have a resume that we've worked with you on, and on that, really, there's only ever going to be a couple things that you want to change. So I think the main part on the resume is just getting a really good resume set up at first, and then the only thing that I think you should ever change on a resume when you're sending it out is maybe for a specific position, if you were mainly applying to things in C#, you have that as like the first skill, and now you're applying to something where they're mainly looking for someone's experience or in Java, then you could move back to the top and move C# down, or something like that. So that could be something that you could change. You also usually have an objective on a resume, right? So maybe you've mentioned C# in your objective, or you've mentioned, a specific thing, and now you want to just change a little bit of the wording. That's really the only thing I would ever change on the resume, company to company. It's okay for it to be a little bit general, as long as it's general, but actually gives the information about you personally. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Do you ever find there's a utility in having a resume that's over 1 page?
So I would say that the maximum a resume should be is 2 pages. If you can make it 1 page, that's awesome. If you have more experience, I don't think you need to make it 1 page, unless you don't have a lot. Like, I don't think there should be a lot of open space, right? I think it should be pretty compact. But if making it 1 page makes it look like this, then I would make it 2 pages. But I think it shouldn't be over 2 pages. You don't need more than max 5 years of experience on your resume. And then if they want more information about you, they will ask for that. Yeah.
So should you like include like non-relevant experience or like relevant experience? Could be like anything.
I think both. If you don't have any experience really within the tech industry, or if you have little experience in the tech industry, then you do want to show that you've either been a student or you've worked, right? So you want to have not a huge gap. You don't want it to just seem like you've never done anything and you're looking for your first thing.
Well, because on my resume it's like 2 pages.
Mhm.
And like that of my resume.
Mhm.
You're saying like you don't have that experience to be using 2 pages.
Mhm.
So my impression was that you shouldn't use non-relevant work experience and you should just keep the education there and your skills. So I
Yeah.
just want your opinion.
My opinion was you always want experience on your resume, whether it's specifically relevant to the tech industry. I think most experience, tech is everywhere these days, so I think a lot of experience can flow into tech. Like for instance, if you're in an interview and they're asking for a good quality, you can say time management. Now, that's really important in the tech industry, but that's also really important as a waitress. It's also really important as a shopkeeper, as a dentist. Do you know what I mean? So there's things that you can kind of bridge into tech, but I think having that experience and showing, you can write it in that way, thinking with what is really important to me right now, coding or doing the things that I'm doing, or the things that I want to do for this job. what do I think are important skills or qualities for that particular thing. Kind of bridge that a little bit.
Like, well, because I don't know, technical recruiter seems like it's not it's critiques it.
Right.
So it's like, I don't have relevant experience in that training, but it's more interesting.
Yeah. I mean, people definitely have different opinions, but I can tell you the technical recruiters that I've worked with, they've all liked seeing the experience there. I mean, I think if he's just saying that he wants you to, because I think you were saying he wants you to have your resume be not 2 pages because you don't have any experience listed, then that's fine. You probably should condense it. But if you have experience in the workforce, you should definitely put it there. But like I said, we don't want a lot of empty space on your resume. Yeah. Okay, good. Any other questions? Okay. Did you have a question? Sorry. Okay, cool. So, yeah, definitely we want the resume, the LinkedIn, the cover letter. That's kind of where we were with multiple resumes. So you don't necessarily need to have too much. I really want you to not have to spend too much time on applying for jobs. So each job that you apply, anybody here who has tried to job search knows that it takes a lot of time and effort and a lot of jobs you have to apply to, right? You don't just send out 2 resumes and you're like, okay, good, this will be it. I'll get my job tomorrow. You have to send out a lot of resumes. We require all of our students to send out a minimum of 35, just while they're on the job placement course. So, and that's not where they stop, okay? And I have people who have done it both ways. I've seen people who send out, 20 resumes and they kind of stop and they start back again and they send out another 10 or 15 over the course of a couple of weeks, and their job search takes a lot longer. So the more resumes you can send out, the more just sheer numbers of you're reaching out to people is very beneficial to you. It's beneficial to you, like I was saying earlier, in practicing. It really helps get your mindset ready for an interview, ready for the next resume. The number of times that you research something, you hone in on your skill to research something. You find the things that you're really passionate about. Actually, you kind of get a feel of the tech industry yourself because you're researching these companies. You're researching what the company culture is like, what the company lifestyle is, how they treat their employees. You're going to start getting an idea of what you really want, and you're also going to practice talking to people. You're going to practice what you're going to say to this person. You'll have an interview and be like, I probably shouldn't have, laughed nervously the whole entire time. Okay, good, it happened, fine, moving on to the next. You know that you sent out 30 resumes. You know you're going to have another experience to kind of rectify that nervous chuckle you had throughout the last interview. You know what I mean? There's things like that you're going to start to get better at. So I think it's very, very important to, like I said, send out a ton of resumes, but we also want to make sure you're not taking too much time on each thing, because if you're taking multiple hours just on applying for one company, you're not going to be able to apply to more than 2 to 3 jobs in one day, and that's going to just lengthen your job search. So resume, portfolio site. You definitely want a portfolio site in GitHub. Now another thing that you go through is, like I said, you do the research on the job search. You have to research. There's the interview. Is there anything else? Yeah.
I have a comment about how long it could take to apply to one job. I don't know about the tech industry, but there's some other industries out there that they take you to this whole system where you have to kind of rebuild your resume inside out, and that could take easily 3 hours. So what?
Build your resume inside of the system.
Yeah.
Okay.
Enter your information in boxes as you click through the pages.
I get what you're saying.
They want it in their way, in their database.
Okay. So yeah, that does happen. Now, what I would do on that is you have a copy of your resume in front of you. You're gonna know that information. You can just print, or you have it, on your computer. You can copy and paste the information into the, boxes that they want. But just don't overthink it. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people, when you're job searching, when you're applying for a lot of jobs, like I said, it's nerve-wracking. You want that job, and you should want it, and you should be passionate and excited about it. But if you're applying for a ton of jobs, like I said, the practice, if you've done this a million times before, it's going to be a lot faster to input that information. Know where the information just can stay the same. Your experience level or a general answer to this makes sense. I'm going to keep putting that there. All I need to do is copy and paste. You don't have to, that is a bit annoying, and you have to do it on their system. It does take a little more time than just sending them off a resume that you've already created. But there's no real way to prepare for that except for just having a good general resume. So you don't need to create separate ones. You don't necessarily need to overthink that aspect of it before you get to it. Once you get to it, just quickly, as much copy and paste as you can do. And then anything you need to newly put in there, obviously do that and send it in. And then also, I think it's really good if they have you input it into their system. I also think it's very smart to, if you're sending them an email as well, to just attach your own resume and cover letter to it. Show them yours, because the truth is in their system, it's not going to come up the same. You're going to spend the time formatting your resume so it looks nice, and so everything's all, put exactly how you want it, so it's kind of putting you in the best light. So I think still attaching your own resume and your cover letter is very smart, even with that.
So what takes the longest for me generally is not so much the resume, because I've got it in a place I want it, but the cover letter. For each job, I don't want to sound like I've just copied and pasted, because I think that's an immediate way to turn off a recruiter.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts about that?
So my thoughts on that is, I think that usually, or for you, how long is your cover letter?
It's never more than a page, maybe 3 or 4 paragraphs.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I think a cover letter should be about 3 paragraphs. And I think that usually what I've seen, this isn't hold true for every single one, but generally speaking, if you've got a 3 paragraph cover letter, the middle paragraph is the one that changes the most. Because the first paragraph is usually introducing yourself, just like, hello, my name is, and I've done blah. And the last paragraph is usually wrapping things up. So the middle paragraph has the most to be changed. And I think that for the most part, you can copy and paste a cover letter if you really make sure that you do your research right, or you find something that you're actually genuinely passionate and excited about, or that really genuinely did give you some interest. Because then when you're writing it, it's not going to sound robotic. It's not going to sound copy and paste. And that middle paragraph will make everything else flow way better. So you do have people who will copy and paste, and it sounds robotic, and I'll read it and be like, okay, next. They answered my questions. Maybe they even answered them correctly. Or maybe they even said what I would technically want to hear. It didn't seem genuine. It didn't seem like they really were answering my question. You know what I mean? So that's what I would do. That way it doesn't take you too much time. I think once you have a very good cover letter that you feel confident and comfortable with, I think save that. And then for the most part, copy and paste and change the middle paragraph, and then change wherever you put the position title, change that. So I have several tech recruiters that I'm friends with and I work with in placing our students from the Tech Academy. And one thing that I asked him for some advice on this talk that I was giving, and one thing he said was, don't just say software developer in your cover letter or your resume. Mostly your cover letter. Don't just say I'm applying for the role of software developer, or I'm applying for the role of web developer, unless that is specifically what they said in their ad. But you should put what they said and exactly how they said it. If you think that it should, if they said it a little bit weirdly and you're like, that seems odd, I think it should actually say analyst or whatever. Put exactly what they said. So that's like a random little piece of advice he told me is important, because it helps them to actually navigate that better. Are there any other questions?
One question I have is to stay away from Indeed and Monster and all that stuff. I was kind of thinking of another approach, which is kind of just researching the companies, knowing or not knowing whether they're hiring or not, and just sending them emails. Do you think that's what are your thoughts on that? And how much should I?
Yeah, I think you can totally do that. I wouldn't necessarily. I don't have as much familiarity with Monster. I usually use Indeed and Glassdoor personally, and I wouldn't necessarily stay away from Indeed. Now, Indeed does go to a lot of people, so there could be a lot of people applying for that job. So I think if you're only using Indeed or you're only using Glassdoor, that's going to make your job search a little bit longer. But I don't think you need to stay away from them because it's very quick to apply for those jobs. You just type in a couple keywords and you've got a list of jobs that you can apply for. So that will help you on your volume and just sending in applications. And I think that, yeah, if you research different tech companies in your area or in the area you want to be, or just with the same position, you know, that you're kind of going out for, I think you, whether they're actively hiring or not, I think you can send a resume, and sometimes, let's say they're not hiring, they'll let you know that. But you can always say, you know, the reason I knew, I would also say that in your initial contact, say, I was looking at different tech companies in my area because I'm currently, you know, job searching, and your company really spoke to me, and that's why I'm applying. I don't know if you guys have any positions open, but I'd love to be considered in the future, or if you do have any current positions open, please let me know. And honestly, if I received that, I don't know that I would hire you in that moment because maybe I'm not looking for anyone. But it definitely would make me happy. I'd be like, oh, that's really cool. I like that. I would think it was nice, and I would think it was, I would think it was cool and genuine. So if I was looking for someone, I probably would consider you. Or if I'm looking for someone in a month, I might be like, oh yeah, who was that one guy? You know? So that's something I think you definitely can do. Now, if they're not currently broadcasting that they're looking for someone, you don't want to spend all of your time doing that, right? Because that could then be a waste of time. So it's a little bit of like really just finding, I mean, on a job search, it's just finding the right fine line between almost everything, you know? Everything you do, you have to make sure you don't go too far over, spend too much time on this, or spend too much time on that, or not enough time on this. So it's just really trying to do as much of, hit as many different things as possible, whether it's Glassdoor or job boards, or one thing that no one has said yet is meetups. Do any of you go to meetups? Good. Okay, cool. Yeah. Does anybody go to meetups? But other meetups, that's a big thing. Going to meetups, going to different technical meetups where a lot of times there'll be recruiters there. A lot of times, depending on what the meetup is exactly, you can make some really good connections there. So that's very important. I think make sure you always bring, if you're going to a meetup where you think there's going to be either prospective employers or recruiters, always bring your resume with you, maybe several copies of it too, and kind of be ready for that.
So for some of the meetups that I've gone to, I mean, it's at times I just try not to bring all this with me. So the idea then is I actually got some business cards printed that have my LinkedIn and my GitHub on it. Would that be an alright one instead of the resume, so that you don't have like this stack of papers or just a folder that you're carrying around with you at every meetup?
I can tell you it is a bit of a preference thing for me, but I can tell you I would personally prefer a resume. And I think that also gathers a bit more attention. A business card is smaller. So my kind of thought process on it is a business card is smaller, it's easier to lose. It's also easier to get mixed up in my desk of papers. An HR person has a lot of papers on their desk, but a resume is going to stand out more to me. I'm going to have to figure out something to do with it while I'm walking around, right? So I'm going to have to put it somewhere and remember that I put it, and it kind of makes me think about it a little bit more. Okay, I need to get back to this resume later. I would personally try to bring a resume. I don't think you need to bring too much stuff with you. If you did mention the folder thing, but if you just have like a nice, even manila folder, or you can get like I'm blanking on the name of it. One of those. Yes, thank you. Exactly what he has. You can get one of those and stick a bunch of your resumes in it, and that way you can hand them out to people. But I think it stands out a little bit more. Not as many people do it, and it's bigger. And I always think it's easier to not get lost, and it kind of puts my attention there a little more. But I do think business cards are great too.
And just adding to that, I personally been to multiple meetups where, let's say I went to the meetup where about Ruby on Rails. I don't know anything about Ruby on Rails, but then there were recruiters and they usually had open mic, and there were recruiters and then individuals at companies that are like, hey, we're actually looking for junior software developers, not just on Ruby, but like JavaScript or Python or whatever it is. So don't necessarily narrow yourself down to like, well, when you want to go to a Ruby on Rails meetup because you don't know anything, you know what I mean? Your point of going to the meetup is actually to network, and they have those open things like open mic, and it's incredible how many job offers and then like no one goes in there. Because when they go into those specialized like meetups where it's very technical, the people that go in there they're usually more senior, and then so there's it's the opposite where then it's like if they're looking for a junior developer, like everyone in there doesn't even want to talk to that person. Which when
Right.
you go to the marketplace is like the opposite, you know what I mean? So I definitely encourage you to go on those. The ones that I personally seen every single time, it's the React meetup is a new relic, happens once a month, and then the Ruby on Rails meetup also happens a new relic once a month. So if you're looking for a place like that, just go in there, even if you don't know anything, and you'll definitely talk to people in there. In
Yeah.
fact, I have talked to like say, hey, my friend is looking for a job, and I just told her the name, and they're like, they write their name down, so they can remember to look for that name on the application. So if you take your resume and your business card, it's great.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, and also him going to those has helped us. Like I said, we have tech recruiter contacts. That's helped us a lot to get those contacts where we've actually gotten a lot of those contacts. And so, and like you were saying about connections, that's super important. Just making connections at any tech meetup, because when you have a group of like-minded people and you start to become friendly and you start to become, talk about the same subject and these things that you're excited and passionate about, those two words again, you can maybe become friends or just garner that connection, and then later down the road, this person does get a job and they're like, hey, we need someone to come on, and they call you because they remember you were job searching, even if it was a while ago. Maybe by this time you already have a job, but maybe this one's better. Maybe it's more what you were looking for anyway. So you really just going to any meetup, like you were saying, you don't have to. Same with the jobs, that kind of what I was mentioning earlier. You don't need to look at it in this, put it in this tiny little, put all these filters on it, and only if it says blah. Whether it comes to meetups or it comes to the actual job that you're applying for. If you think you can do it, or if in the meetup, if it's in the tech industry and you're trying to get into the tech industry, break out into the tech industry, then that's something where you can garner some relationships and some connections. And the same with jobs. You never know if you apply for a job that maybe it's not the number one job that you were gonna go for. Maybe you think that they might require a little more experience in this, or maybe they say a lot of times on a job posting it'll list all the qualifications, and then it'll also say, and we'd also like you to have this, and this, and you're like, oh, I don't have those 4 things. That doesn't mean they're not going to hire you. It could mean that, but it also doesn't have to mean that. You know what I mean? So I think it's good to just, as much as you can, send it out. Okay, someone had asked a question. Oh,
So just add to that, just have in mind that also recruiters and HR individuals, they're not necessarily software developers, right? So sometimes they may have used literally just copy pasted of a previous posting. Hey, I'm looking for the same junior developer. So in their mind, it's going to be the same thing. So the descriptions on there, it may not be even accurate. So that's why you literally just apply, even if you just don't need even 50% of those the requirements, just apply for it, because that happens all the time.
Yeah, that is really true. And then was there someone else who had a question that I was either in the middle of answering or has a new question? No? Okay, cool. So meetups was the other thing that I was talking about. I'll put that on here. Meetups are super important.
So way more fun than making online applications.
Yeah, way more fun than making online applications. And that's also part of it. I'm going to use those 2 words again, but the more excited and passionate you are throughout your job search, the more fun you're having, the more likely you are to actually get a job. Because when your attitude is good and when you have a bright outlook on it, you're going to kind of get that within the person you're talking to. Okay, so does anybody have a specific area in the job search that they are running into or have run into that's given them the most trouble?
Just was gonna say anything. So just to build off what he was saying regarding meeting 50% of the listed skills, just curious if that's something that is unique to the tech industry, because I would never use that in the industry that I'm transitioning out of. I would never say, oh, well, I only need 50% of these qualifications, so therefore I'm going to go ahead and apply, because I would know that they would never call me that. So
I don't think so, honestly. I've worked with many different companies, and I've worked with different recruitment companies and as a recruiter. And to be completely honest, like I said in the very, very beginning, the way you present yourself and being able to answer the person's questions and give them, to sell yourself and tell them why you're going to be a good fit for their company. If you have a good answer for that, and if you can convince me to hire you, I'll hire you. I don't. Obviously, there might be some specific things, right? Like, for instance, if you're going out for a position as someone who's working in a warehouse, and you show up and you're like, I can't lift any more than 2 pounds. Okay, you're stuck in a warehouse and you need to lift more than 2 pounds. That's going to be an immediate no. But to be completely honest, like if I really like you and you're telling me why you should be a part of my company, then I might get you as the receptionist, or you know what I mean? Like that kind of just selling yourself and really having a good answer on like doing that research and not over researching, because when you over research, you tend to, that becomes more important. You need to sell yourself a lot harder on your skills or your things, because you're not getting them excited about you. You know what I mean? You're not as excited about them. The more you over-research the company, the more overwhelmed you are with information about them. It's not easy to remember. It's not easy to just pull that off the top of your head. It's also not necessarily, you're not necessarily going to mention what you're the most excited and passionate about. So there's a lot more to that, if that makes sense. But I've worked in many different industries. I've hired like within the beauty industry, and I've had people in the beauty industry who say, just got out of high school, but I watch a lot of YouTube videos on makeup. You know what I mean? And if they have some good answers, I'm still willing to hire them, or the companies are still willing to hire them. It maybe takes a lot more selling and a lot better of an answer, a bit more excitement and passion. But I've definitely seen that happen. Yeah. Okay, good. Anybody else run into anything on the? Yeah.
I talked to a resume writer a couple weeks ago because I'm trying to update my resume, and I told her everything. That I had a GitHub account. I'd written several website applications, and when I told, she did not even know what a GitHub account was. So maybe it's possible I just got a hold of the wrong resume / recruiter.
Mm-hmm.
But what she told me was, if you go to Indeed or the LinkedIn job website, and if you can't read their job requirements, and if you can't fulfill 100% of what they're looking for, don't bother to apply. Is it possible that's just her opinion?
It's just her opinion. So what that comes from is someone just having this idea that they have to overqualify themselves, and then not being as passionate and excited, and just getting a bunch of no's and just sticking with that. But I can tell you, I have someone who I just placed a couple weeks ago who went through the Tech Academy program, and she was having a little bit of a difficult time at first. She was like, I haven't gotten any responses. And asked her, how many resumes have you sent out? And she was like, well, 15. And I'm like, accurate. You haven't gotten any responses. Makes sense. Send out 60 in the next week. And she did, and she got a job within, I think, a week and a half after that 60 was done. And she's now working for the state, and she's got full benefits, and her starting pay was $60,000.
So it's the law, what you're saying is that it's the law of averages. If you send out
Yeah.
a certain amount of resumes, something's bound to click.
Something's bound to click, and it also, like Alistair was saying earlier, when he said, you've got someone who's in HR and is just copy and pasting. So in my previous HR experience, I did that a lot. I didn't, I hadn't worked in the beauty industry or this industry or that industry, but I'm trying to help other companies hire for those industries. I would just make something up or, copy and paste from a previous ad that someone had done. But a lot of times once, talking to that person and liking that person and having to send them up to the next person, I kind of get behind you. So if you can get me behind you, then you can get behind the company too. You know what I mean? There's a bit of that. So I think that that's really important. And I think that, whoever said don't apply for anything unless you meet every single qualification or everything they said is
That's what she told
100%
me.
wrong.
Okay.
100% wrong. I've rarely ever hired, I can just tell you in my over 7 years of HR experience, I rarely ever hired someone that met every single qualification that I posted. Rarely. And that's within any industry.
It's like a recruiter from a previous job era.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I can tell you there's so many things that people, especially within the tech industry, because, you guys know the tech industry is growing to become, it's not really even the tech industry anymore, it's just any job almost, the tech industry is everywhere. Everything's becoming, everyone needs someone in tech. Everyone needs an IT guy or, something, right? So almost any
It's a
company,
website.
yeah, exactly. Almost any company needs someone who's working in tech. So there's so many jobs out there, so many. And a lot of people come to me, I don't know if you guys have this, but if you have this idea, just cancel it right now, because a lot of people tell me that there's not enough, or not a lot of people, but some people come to me and they tell me there's not enough tech jobs, there's not enough jobs out there. And that is just the wrongest thing I've ever heard. There are so many jobs out there, and just like you said, kind of sheer number of jobs that something is bound to click. If you've got a good resume, if you've got a good cover letter, if you're actually excited about the job, if you think you're a good fit, you probably are a good fit. Maybe someone got there first. Okay, good. Next company.
So it's a positive mental attitude is always to your benefit.
Always to your benefit. Always to your benefit. Literally, throughout the job search, no matter what, you're going to hear no. So the worst thing that's going to happen by applying to more jobs and by not being too picky is that you're going to hear more no's. But you're also bound, just mathematically, to hear more yeses. So I wouldn't be worried about the no's. I would just keep applying, and you're gonna hear a yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
What are your thoughts on applying to multiple positions within the same company, and if you were to do that, what's your advice on, or do you need to customize a lot if you're applying within the same company?
I wouldn't customize your resume. I would customize your cover letter or what you say to them if you're talking to them in an interview. So I would, for instance, when I first applied here, I applied for 2 different positions. And when I talked to the person who interviewed me, I told him, these are the skills that I have in this area, and these are the skills I have in this area. And I think I'd be good for either position based on these things. So if you're applying for different positions within a company, I think, one, acknowledge the fact that you're applying for 2 different positions or 3 different positions in a company. In your cover letter, if it's solely email based at first, let them know, hi, I have already applied for the position of blah. I also saw you had this position. Super excited about your company, super passionate about your company. So I decided to apply for this position as well because I think I think I'll just be a great fit with your company in general, but I also think I have the skills for this position. Here's my resume again. Acknowledging the fact that you've already definitely let them know so they don't think it's just a mix-up. Because that could also be the case, especially if you're using a lot of Indeed and Glassdoor. But yeah, I don't think it's a problem to apply for 2 different positions if you really think that you would be a good fit for either of those positions. Any other questions? Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to see if you could talk about a little bit about this. We have a lot of students who have gotten a job at places where they've applied multiple times,
Mm-hmm.
and some people have like the thought that once you apply like one time, you shouldn't apply again. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yes. Okay. I will speak about that. So first off, I'm gonna answer that, or I'm gonna talk about that. But first off, how do you guys normally apply for jobs? Online? Is that correct? Mostly online. Okay, good. Do you guys normally call the companies? No. Okay. You should call them. So I think that when you apply whether it's on Indeed or Glassdoor or through their company career page, and then call them, let them know that you applied, try to talk to someone, try to get in contact with someone as quickly as possible, and then kind of moving back to applying for the same company. So once you've sent that application in, if you haven't heard in 3 business days, send another email. Let them know, hey, I applied 3 days ago. Really excited about your company. Really excited about this position. This is a good prospect for me. Just wanted to make sure you had gotten my resume. If not, here it is again. Here's also a copy of the original cover letter I sent. Send it in again. HR people are busy. Okay? We have a lot of people. I can tell you that it would be a pretty normal day for me to have a minimum of 20 new resumes in my inbox in a day. And, going through 20 different resumes, if I'm remotely interested in you, I'm instantly going to start doing a background check or talking to, my superior about you or, whatever. So that can get you distracted. Maybe I just didn't see your resume, or maybe I just passed by it. Or maybe you just didn't make it through the first round, but you followed up with me and I'm like, oh, this is a go-getter. Okay, cool. You still don't hear from them, or maybe they say no, that you can apply for the same job a couple weeks later. Hey, I'm still job searching. I know you guys said no a few weeks ago or a few months ago, but I still want to work for your company. I mean, if someone wants to, if someone's talking to you and you're like, I don't really want to talk to you, and they come up to you and they're like, hey, not to be rude, but I still think I like you, I want to talk to you. Let's do a second date. You know what I mean? Let's try this out. Great. That's pretty flattering. I can tell you that I'm not going to probably say no to that, or I'm definitely going to at least look at the person again, right? Why didn't I like this person? So it's not a problem. In fact, I think that you should apply for the same job over and over again. I think that it shows consistency. It shows determination. It shows, some initiative. A lot of people, like you said, will think that they should not apply for the same job more than one time. So someone applying for the same job, a second or third time, I'm like, oh, this is kind of newer, this person, stands out to me a little bit more. This is not the normal thing that every single person does, right? So yeah, definitely apply for the same job if you really want it, or apply for a second job within the company. Hey, I applied for the job of blah, 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 and you guys said no because of this. I want to apply for this job because I just like your company. And also, now if you get a rejection letter, do you guys usually respond to it, or what do you do?
Yeah.
Leave it alone?
Respond.
Respond? Okay.
I would only respond if it actually was a rejection letter from the person, not from their do not reply email.
Okay. Good. That makes sense. If it specifically says do not reply, I probably wouldn't reply either. But I think even if it seems very automated and it doesn't say do not reply anyway. Say, thank you so much for letting me know. If you don't mind me asking, what was it that that happened, or why didn't you hire me? Or even just say to them, I would love to be considered in the future. What could I work on? I'd love to be considered in the future. I really liked your company and whatever. Was excited and passionate about it. What can I work on in the future? And they, they'll let you know. Or if they don't let you know, they'll at least, the more you can stay in someone's mind, the more you're gonna stand out to them in the future, or you're gonna stand out to them when they don't find a person. Because I can tell you, so many times I've gone through weeks of a hiring process with someone, and I think, I've decided to hire you, you've decided to work for me, we've gone through all the legal paperwork, you're about to start, You're like, you know what? I got another job. I just reported to my boss that I filled this role. This is a huge problem for me. I'm gonna be in big trouble if I don't hire someone real quick because I've already told everyone this is taken care of. It is done. So now I have to go back to that pile and figure out who to hire. I don't have a lot of time to go out there and try to like figure out, post more ads and find new people and go through new background checks and new pre-qualification interviews, and I don't want to have to do that. I want to be able to go, hey, you, come over, start today. You know what I mean? So the more you can stay in that person's mind, the more you can still have that connection and that a bit of a relationship with them or rapport, the more likely you are to get, a future job or even a job with another company, because HR people also talk to each other within companies. That's not uncommon. So I think it's really important. Yeah.
I'm wondering in regards to calling and emailing as a follow-up. How quickly do you suggest that we call after applying? And then in terms of calling or emailing, if there's not an obvious HR person's name attached to the application posting, how do I go about finding a person to reach out to?
Yeah, good question. So I think you should call immediately after. I think that you want things to go as quickly as possible, and the truth is I want things to go as quickly as possible. So calling right after and letting them know, hey, I just applied. Now, if there isn't a specific person, HR person, a lot of times you'll get what we call the gatekeeper, which is usually the receptionist or the assistant, and you can just ask for whoever the HR person is. Say, I'm looking for HR. I just applied on your website. A lot of times they will say, sorry, they're not in, or they're not available, or they'll respond to you via email. You can always ask to leave a voicemail for them. I always think that it's better to say, can I leave a voicemail for them, rather than them taking a note. So a lot of people say, can I leave my number with you? I think you should say, can I leave a voicemail on their voicemail? Can I leave a message on their voicemail? That way they actually get it. And they also hear you. And I think for me personally, I'm a lot better at selling myself when I'm talking to a person rather than trying to get someone else to sell me. So I think that that's pretty important. I would do that. If you don't hear from them within 3 days, then send another email. Wait a little while. Wait a day. Call again. I don't think that there's any harm in calling or reaching out to someone as long as you're not being obnoxious about it. You're excited, if you can let them know, I want to move quickly, I want to get this started.
It's sort of funny because of the title of the talk, it's sort of the opposite approach I would take with first date.
That part maybe is a little bit, well, that's true. You don't want to be obnoxious about it, okay? But you want to let them know you're interested, right? You want to let them know, maybe that's getting the first date, okay, yeah. But yeah, you want to let them know that you're interested and you're excited to talk to them. You're excited to be a part of that company. You will be a good fit for them because of those reasons. You know what I mean? Any other questions at this moment? No? Okay. So I'm going to move into the interview. What time is it?
1:55.
Okay, cool. So we have a little time. So I want to move into the interview really quickly before I have to wrap up. And basically, so in the interview, how long do you think an interview usually takes?
20 minutes.
Okay, 30 minutes. Good. How many questions do you usually get asked in an interview? Good. Okay, cool. Good. Now, when you give an answer, do you try to be as, explain it as much as possible, or do you think you're more concise, or what's your style? Anyone?
I think more direct.
More direct? Good.
Depending on the subject and the person.
A bit of an explanation, especially if it's a more open-ended question.
Good. Okay. Okay, good. So those were all good answers, and they were all very right answers. So you want to be direct. You also want to be conversational, but you don't want to take too much of their time. Okay. So an HR person, like I said, I might have 20 resumes in my inbox. I might have 10 interviews that day. And then after an interview, if I like you, if I think that you're going to maybe be a potential hire, I'm also going to have to do all the other paperwork and different things that I have to do within the company, right? So I'm busy. I need to do things. I have a lot of things to do. I also do a lot of interviews in a day, right? I'm asking the same questions all day long. And I don't need a 10-minute explanation on, your greatest professional strength. I just don't. Because I hear almost the same answer all day long. And not only all day long, but all week long. So I just don't need that long of an explanation. Now, like you said, direct, and also like you said, actually kind of establish a bit of a rapport with them. You want to be friendly. You want to be excited and passionate. Has anybody counting how many times I said excited and passionate? But you want to be, like I said, excited and passionate. And you want to not take too much of their time, because, like on a first date, if you can't get a word in edgewise, on to the next. You don't want to sit there and listen to someone talk to you for 30 to 45 minutes about, even if you're asking them questions, you can't ask them the next question. Even if you're interested in something, you're afraid to ask any more about that thing because you just heard a 10-minute explanation on their greatest professional strength, okay? I don't need a 10-minute explanation. So that's one thing that a lot of people, I can tell you, that's one of my biggest pet peeves, and most recruiters, that's their biggest pet peeve, or an HR person, they're going to tell you, someone who takes up so much time in an interview and just goes on and on and on and never gets to the point, huge turn off. That's a little bit of my insider information I can tell you on that. Like I said with the research, it's one of the reasons why the research doesn't need to take you as long, because you want to be able to quickly come to an answer, quickly be able to put that into the interview without it having to go, oh God, I studied that company for 3 hours and what do I know about them? There's less thinking to it. You just can easily go, oh yeah, I noticed that you're CEO, used to be a mechanic. I worked on my uncle's auto shop when I was younger, and it was, one of the best summers I'd ever had. And I thought it was really cool that you guys are bridging, the tech world and the auto world together and da-da-da-da. That's exciting to me. That person knows you're passionate about that. That's real. It's a real answer. It's also a short answer. Does that make sense? Okay. So I think we have to wrap up soon, but does anybody have any other questions or anything they wanted to go over? Yes.
Is there anything that isn't immediately obvious to the average person? Like, don't show up to your interview 10 minutes late, for
Right.
example. So other than that kind of thing, is there anything that is a turn off for you that you could think of on the fly?
That's a good question. So kind of mentioning the 10 minutes late thing. Also, don't show up more than 10 to 15 minutes early. If you show up 30 minutes early, it's kind of annoying because like I said, I have interviews scheduled throughout the day. I could be interviewing multiple people. Having my receptionist or my assistant come and interrupt me to let me know that my meeting is there 30 minutes early. It puts a rush on the meeting I'm already having. It puts a rush on me, and it's just a little bit annoying. So 10 to 15 minutes early is like the most that I would show up. I would show up a minimum of 10 minutes early, the most 15 minutes early, and definitely don't show up late. Also, I really like it when someone has a resume with them. Even if I've already seen your resume, but you hand it to me, because the truth is I might not have it right in front of me. Like I said, I might be interviewing several people. I might have handed your resume to someone else. I might have put it in my large stack of papers. Always having a resume with you is important. I would actually suggest having 2 to 3 resumes with you at any given interview, because a lot of times you'll have a second or third person in the interview, and that way you can hand one to each and every person.
Going back to have a follow-up question to my earlier question on business cards. So your associate, I forgot your name. Alistair. You said good idea to have both resume and a business card, and that immediately got me thinking. So and this is probably just a more minor question, but does a recruiter / HR person / an interviewer care or not care about staples versus paper clips?
Oh, not necessarily. I mean, honestly, actually, that's a pretty good question. Now I'm thinking about it, I said no, but then, yeah, paper clips.
That's what
I like that question. I've never even thought about it before. Yeah, paper clips, I think. That's a really good question. I mean, I don't want it to rip your business card off of it. And like I said, I always have a massive amount of papers on my desk. Just you deal with so much paperwork as an HR person, and my desk never needs to be messier than it already is. You know what I mean? And having ripped papers and things like that, it's kind of a small thing, but it's also kind of a big thing. I like that.
Yeah, also, and like bigger companies, like at my old job, we even do like staples all just because we need to have copies. So you don't know like what documents go to what. So then eventually just added the word to take that out, not reading the paper, and just to make the copy of it, all that kind of stuff. So you actually extra work just to it. So if you have 100 resumes in there, just throw away that it's costing you more work to do. You know what I mean? So
Exactly. Paper clips, I like that.
Never thought about that.
Yeah, I hadn't actually thought about it that much until you said it, and then I realized it was kind of a thing.
sorry, can I add something?
Yeah.
So going back to your thing on in your business card, let's say you may have your LinkedIn profile already in your, because you must, I don't know if, I personally don't have my LinkedIn or my social media on my resume, but I may have that to my business card, right? So it is idea, the reason I say both is because that way you know that the recruiter is going to look you up on LinkedIn and most likely like any kind of social media out there. So mine as well. Let's say that your name was Just Smith. How many like Just Smith are out there? Like a lot of them, right? So mine as well just direct them to your one profile rather than having to look you up. So you're actually saving time as well. So that's why I say just bring your resume and your business cards.
Yeah. Very smart. And I would personally put your LinkedIn on your resume, in your heading, just because, especially if you're sending it electronically, you're not going to send your business card electronically. And if you're sending it electronically, like he said, your name's Don Smith, and I have to spend 20 minutes looking for your LinkedIn profile. That's going to be annoying. Yeah. Any other questions?
How critical would you say it is to have your photo on your LinkedIn profile? I mean, is it going to really hurt if you don't have one on there? Is it gonna have one?
Not necessarily. I think if you don't want one, don't put one. I think that a lot of people do want one, and I can tell you most companies that I worked for, or most companies that I was hiring for, at some point I did require a headshot. But if you don't want to put it on your resume, then don't. But I would definitely have one available so you can send it in. Because a lot of times, at some point at least, within the interview process, especially if I'm not meeting you right away, I will require a headshot. Yes.
Sort of similar question, but for my LinkedIn, I don't exactly have a headshot. It's kind of more of a so like a headshot's normally just you up against a wall, having a pleasant business appropriate expression on your face,
Exactly.
and decent business, at least business casual attire. For my LinkedIn, it's kind of like that, but a little bit more. Just it's not a business photo, but it's actually
It's like a laid back business.
It's a laid back business photo. So
Okay.
I'm leaning forward on a railing, just very relaxed, still appropriate business attire, like Columbia River in the background, yada yada. That versus a business photo.
I think that's fine. I can tell you if it's a selfie. Don't do it. Don't do it. Even if you're trying to make it a professional selfie, still don't do it. You can tell, and it does. I don't know why, because I can tell you I take a lot of selfies. But for some reason, it's a little bit of a turnoff. And yeah, I would get someone to take a photo of you, straight on. If that's all. If you have a good photo that you think looks very professional but isn't exactly a headshot, fine, like that sounds good. But yeah, I would get someone to take a photo of you if you have a selfie on there. Any other questions? Okay, cool. Well, it was great to talk to you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was informative, and thank you.
Thank you.